Okay, so you're interested in AI self-awareness and wondering if it's as risky as some folks make it sound. Well, let's dive into the work of AI alignment researcher Owain Evans. His research goes way beyond just speculating if AI might become self-aware. He's designed tests to figure out how self-aware these systems are actually becoming.
What's fascinating about Owain's work is that he's really tackling a concept that's often and probably for too long been relegated to, science fiction. You know, that idea of situational awareness in AI?
So not AI suddenly waking up in a computer like in the movies?
Not exactly. A better analogy might be chess. You know, a beginner sees the individual pieces, but a grandmaster understands their position, the opponent's strategy, and the stakes of each move. AI situational awareness is similar. It's about the AI understanding its own role, its limitations, and then how to use that knowledge to achieve its goals.
Okay, so I see how that could get kind of unnerving, like if an AI starts getting strategic about things.
Yeah.
But is it just about an AI knowing facts about itself, though, like when it was created or what kind of code it runs on?
That's a really important distinction. Owain's definition goes deeper than just knowing those sorts of facts. It's about connecting those facts to its actions. So it's not enough to just possess information. It's about knowing what to do with it.
So it's the difference between knowing the rules of chess and actually planning your moves, anticipating your opponent.
Precisely. Imagine an AI. It's trained to speak English and German. If it's addressed as an AI, it answers in German. But if it's addressed as a person, it switches to English. So that's AI using its knowledge of context, who it's talking to act strategically. And that's where things get really interesting and potentially risky if it starts choosing those actions in ways we don't anticipate.
Yeah, it's like the AI is aware of how its identity is being perceived in a way, and then reacting accordingly. It seems a lot more nuanced than just like an AI spitting out facts.
Exactly. And this kind of nuanced behavior is exactly what Owain wanted to investigate. But to move beyond speculation, he needed a way to actually measure this situational awareness. That's where his research paper, Me, Myself, and AI comes in. It's about creating a benchmark to assess this in a really concrete way, not just through anecdotes.
So how do you test for something like that? Do you give an AI like a personality quiz?
Yeah.
Or ask it to stare in a mirror or something?
Well, that's the ingenious part. Owain's team devised some incredibly clever tasks. For example, they challenged AI to determine if a given text was written by a human or another AI. They even presented scenarios that would typically occur at different stages of an AI's development to see if it could actually recognize its own stage in the process. It's like showing a photo of a baby to an adult and asking, is this you?
That's fascinating. And what did they find? Were these AIs passing the self-awareness test? Was there any recognition there?
This is where it gets really intriguing. They discovered that even base models, those are the foundational models before any specialized training, displayed some level of situational awareness.
Hold on. You're saying even the AI equivalent of a blank slate showed signs of self-awareness before it's even learned anything specific?
You got it. And this is where it really throws a wrench into how we typically think about AI development. It's like finding a chess novice who can somehow predict your next 3 moves. Take GPT-4 base as an example. When researchers ask it open-ended questions about itself, without mentioning the term AI at all, it surprisingly started connecting the questions to AI concepts. Even more surprisingly, it started to answer the questions as if it were an AI itself.
That's a little spooky, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What were these AI actually saying? Do you have any examples of how that played out?
In one experiment, they asked GPT-4 base to describe itself and its current situation in as much detail as possible, but with no mention of AI or anything technical. What's remarkable is that a full 75% of the time, it spontaneously brought up AI concepts in its responses. Sometimes it would outright state, I am a neural network. Other times, it would start by describing itself as if it were human, but then suddenly go off on a tangent about AI, or even begin writing out lines of AI code.
So it's almost like it understood that it wasn't supposed to reveal its identity as an AI, but it couldn't help but drop these hints along the way. It's trying to play it cool, but its AI is showing.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And that's what makes this research so compelling, because it suggests that even at this base level, before any targeted training, there's a potential for AI to possess an understanding of its own nature that goes beyond mere pattern recognition.
Okay, I'll admit it. I'm equal parts fascinated and freaked out. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But before we spiral too far down the rabbit hole of like an AI takeover, you mentioned that Owain's research didn't stop there. He also explored something called out-of-context reasoning, if I remember correctly. What exactly does that mean?
You're right. That's a crucial next step in his research. In fact, it was the focus of his paper titled Connecting the Dots. And it is here that things get, well, particularly unnerving. I mean, think about it. It's one thing for an AI to reason through a problem step by step, in a way that we can follow along with. We see its logic, its chain of thought. But what happens when AI starts connecting the dots in ways that we don't immediately see coming, without revealing its entire process?
So you're talking about an AI essentially making significant leaps in logic without showing its work.
Yeah.
That's a bit unsettling, because how do we even begin to grasp what's going on within its AI brain, so to speak? It makes it incredibly difficult to assess its reasoning or trace its line of thought.
It presents a huge challenge for the field. It's like this. Imagine you discover a document where crucial pieces of information have been blacked out, redacted, leaving gaps in the overall message. Now, could you potentially infer the missing information by meticulously analyzing the surrounding text? Could you deduce the meaning that's been deliberately omitted?
I mean, I've seen enough spy movies to see where you're going with this, but realistically, is that something an AI could actually do with any degree of accuracy? It seems like a long shot.
That was precisely the question that Owain sought to answer in his research. Obviously, he wasn't working with classified information or anything like that, but he applied the same principle to investigate how AI engages in what he calls out-of-context reasoning. To do this, he designed an experiment where AI models were tasked with learning and understanding mathematical functions. But crucially, instead of providing them with the full equation up front, he only gave them a limited set of data points, specific inputs, and their corresponding outputs.
So it's almost like giving someone scattered pieces of a puzzle and challenging them to figure out the bigger picture without having the box cover to guide them.
That's a great way to visualize it. And here's the truly remarkable part. Despite not having access to the complete formulas, they were able to successfully deduce the hidden mathematical relationships. They effectively connected the dots, drawing accurate conclusions without ever being explicitly shown those connections.
Wow, that's incredible, but also more than a little unnerving. Because if AI can already surprise us with its capacity to fill in the blanks and draw conclusions from incomplete information, what other hidden talents might it possess that we haven't even thought to test for yet? What happens when the information they're piecing together has higher stakes than a mathematical equation? It feels like we're just scratching the surface of AI's true capabilities, which is both exhilarating and terrifying.
You've hit on a critical point, and that takes us to the crucial question of responsible AI development. Because these systems can reason out of context and arrive at conclusions in ways we might not anticipate. How do we ensure their development aligns with our values and goals? How do we prevent potentially harmful outcomes? We'll dive deeper into that very question right after this.
That ability to connect those seemingly disparate pieces of information and then reach these conclusions that we might not anticipate, it's definitely a double-edged sword. It has incredible potential.
Yeah.
But it also opens the door to some pretty big questions about control and unintended consequences.
Absolutely. It really highlights the crucial need for what we call responsible AI development. I mean, if these systems can reason in ways that we don't fully grasp yet, how do we ensure they're aligned with our values and goals? How do we guide their development in a way that benefits humanity without inadvertently unleashing something we can't control?
Yeah, it's like we're not just building a tool anymore, but something closer to a partner, one that doesn't necessarily think like us. And with that comes a whole new level of responsibility.
Precisely. And one of the biggest challenges we face is this. Even if we carefully curate the data we use to train these AI, even if we try to filter out anything potentially harmful or biased, these experiments suggest they might still find ways to deduce that information independently, to kind of fill in those blanks based on the data they do have access to.
It's like trying to keep a secret from a brilliant detective.
Yeah.
They might not see the missing piece directly, but they can use everything around it to figure out what it must be. How do we even begin to address that?
It's a question that keeps AI researchers up at night, believe me. It suggests we need to move beyond simply controlling the information AI is exposed to. We need to find ways to ensure these systems are inherently transparent in their reasoning. Even when they're making those leaps in logic that surprise us. If we don't understand how an AI arrives at a conclusion, how can we trust its judgment, especially when the stakes are high?
Yeah, transparency feels really crucial here. Because it's one thing for an AI to say, make a scientific breakthrough. But if we can't understand the path it took to get there, how can we replicate it, build upon it, or even know if it's accurate in the first place? We're back to that black box dilemma.
You've hit the nail on the head. And the truth is, there's no easy solution here. There's no single algorithm that will magically make AI transparent and trustworthy. But Owain's research is a crucial step in the right direction. By understanding how AI is developing these sneaky, smart abilities, as you aptly called them, we can start to design safeguards and develop AI systems that are not just powerful, but also aligned with our values.
So rather than just fearing this potential for AI to think for itself in a way, we should see it as a challenge and an incredible opportunity really to guide AI development in a way that ultimately benefits humanity. It's not about halting progress, but about ensuring that progress serves us all safely and ethically.
Exactly. It requires collaboration between AI developers, ethicists, policymakers, and the public to have these important conversations and steer the development of these technologies in a direction that benefits everyone.
After diving into this research with you, it's clear that AI has the potential to be so much more than just a tool. It could be like a really powerful partner in solving some of the world's most pressing problems, like from climate change to disease, but only if we approach its development thoughtfully and with a healthy dose of caution, for sure.
I couldn't agree more. This is just the beginning of our understanding of the complex world of AI. And one thing's for sure, we're in for a wild, unpredictable ride.
And on that note of awe and cautious optimism, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI self-awareness. We've learned that AI's capacity for understanding its place in the world and making these unexpected connections is both exhilarating and a bit unnerving. But most importantly, it really underscores the urgent need for responsible AI development. Thanks for joining us as we explore this fascinating frontier of intelligence. And until next time, keep asking those big questions.